Traversing 491 concerts blind, how do I do it? Well, I'm going to get into that. Hey everyone, Brendan the Blind Guy here, and welcome to the Boombox. Just give me that! Boom, boom, boom. Just give me that! Boom, boom. Just give me okay, first up, a bit of a brief history for you. So I've been legally blind ever since I was 7, with my eyesight slowly deteriorating ever since. I'm now 31, and so now I can only really see light and dark and movement. My visual acuity is down to hand movement, basically. So how have I been able to traverse 491 concerts in so many different formats over the years? Well, I'm about to get into it. So my first concert was when I was 14, and that was actually a festival. How do I do it? So I'm going to break it down into some categories. First of all, no matter which concert I go to, me or my support workers contact security if it's for a major event at a stadium like Lady Gaga, Coldplay, Foo Fighters, etc., etc. It's always best to contact the venue and security several days prior to say, hey, look, I'm disabled. In my case, I say to them, look, I'm a regular concert goer and I need to be let through before the rush of the general admission crowd, because when everyone rushes in, they can hustle and bustle me, bump into me, get me disorientated, and then I can't safely and suitably get to, well, a safe and suitable standing position for the night. Always best to reach out to the venue to say, look, these are my needs and it needs to happen. So then they let me through about a minute before the general rush of the general admission comes in, so everything goes smoothly. A classic example of this going really well was actually Coldplay. The venue organised for the disability assistance officer. If you need assistance at a core stadium, reach out to Paul. He's amazing. So he made sure everything went smoothly with no stress or anxiety. So I was able to calmly walk into the venue without having to rush and potentially trip over things or whatever. So any stairs I had to traverse, I could do it slowly and at my own pace. And I was able to get to a safe and suitable spot. And as you know, the rest is history for 2 episodes ago when Chris Martin got me up on stage. A time that didn't go so well was My Chemical Romance at the Hordern Pavilion in 2013 for the Big Day Out sideshow. Now, security were going to be, were trying to let me through before the rush of the crowd. Communication just wasn't there between the different security checkpoints, I guess you would call it. As I'm waiting to be let through the disability entrance, there were just people rushing in. And so by the time I got in there, people were rushing in, bumping into me, and I couldn't get to the front barrier to hold on to for support, which I need to be doing. So I'm not one to be in the middle of a mosh without knowing what the hell's going on, not being able to see. And so it's either I've got the barrier to hang on to, doesn't matter if it's the middle or right off the end, just the barrier to hold on to, or I'm either sitting down or out of the crowd, which is a completely different experience. So it's always really imperative to make sure that you contact security, as I said, for major events, few days prior, but for other events, just make sure you allow time before doors open, suss out with security and make sure everyone's on the same page. That's accessibility getting into the venue. Okay, secondly, I much prefer personally being at the front of the mosh pit holding onto the barrier, as I said, because there I'm a very tactile person. My whole life, I'm very tactile. And at the front of the crowd, you can really not just hear and feel people's body heat. You can really feed off their energies, people dancing, their excitement. Being up close, you can feel the band projecting their energy into the audience, and the way the audience receives that and feed it back to the band, you can also not just feeling vibration of the bass or whatever, but you can actually feel the movement of the air from the bass and all of the other sounds. And for me personally, I can actually see the movement of the band on stage. Whenever there's pyros, you can actually feel the heat on your face and everything. It's just such a different experience to being outside it, and you can actually interact with the band, and it's such, you're really immersed in the show and in the experience. Seating outside the audience, like outside the main crowd, I should say, is also really good, but it's just a completely different experience. It's like watching a movie versus being on the filming set, I guess you would say. As I said, for me personally, I can actually see the light changing and the patterns of the light, not necessarily the individual colors, but the movement and the patterns, and be able to see the movement of the band on stage. Whenever I have been in seats for particular concerts or whatever, yes, you can hear the audience, and you might be able to see for me personally, see the different lights. I really do find that I'd be outside of the action. I can't really feel the energy and excitement of bodies pressed around and the vibration going into my chest and the band really projecting. Okay, and finally, I'll go through the most important aspect of a live show, and that is the sound. Now, actually, I am slightly hearing impaired, likely because I've been to 491 concerts, but So it is very important, first and foremost, that if you're going to be at a rock concert, especially in the standing dance floor GA, it's always best to wear earplugs, because it evens out the sound by cutting out the high and low frequencies that distort and leave your ears ringing the next day and shouting at the person next to you to be able to hear them. So apart from protecting your ears, it does actually make the sound even and balanced and be able to hear it the way it should be perceived. So that's the first and foremost. I like to really focus on each individual layer to be able to go, okay, even if I might not be able to hear every individual lyric of like what the person is actually saying in the lyrics, the vocal melody and the way they enunciate each note, and the vibrato, the force, the way it soars over the audience. If the band are right in front of you and it's like a 360 degrees immersive sound experience, it's not sound in front of you or to your left or right or whatever, it's all around you, with the focus being at the front, obviously. I really like to go, okay, yes, I can hear the bass guitar. Is it overmixed? Like, is it overpowering everything? Are the drums making it hard to hear the other instruments? And then I'd go, oh, okay, I can hear some synthesizer or what sounds like a violinist, which then whoever I'm with would actually clarify to me if it's a actual violinist or synthesized violins. Really not being distracted by what the band are wearing, how they're looking, the smiles on their faces and the hand gestures and everything, the way they're rocking out. So even though that is all important, vital stuff for a performance, but because I'm not focusing on that, I focus on the music and really hone into it. As I said, wearing earplugs is an absolute must, and it evens out the sound. So a lot of sound mixers, you know, at the back of the general admissions standing, that's where the mixing tower is. So they're doing the sound optimal for where they are. But a lot of sound mixers tend to not make allowances for if the bass is going to be very prominent in a lot of songs, or the drums are going to be a bit too prominent, or even just to raise the vocals a bit just so they don't have to struggle over the rest of the sound. Because you can imagine if you're in a standing audience and you've got your eyes closed and you can hear the music, but it's not even, it's just drowned out by bass and drums with only the occasional vocal melody here and there. It's not enjoyable. So it is imperative for not just the band's sound, but the sound mixer as well. Lastly, if anyone out there is disabled, whether you're vision impaired or any other disability, I have experienced so many venues and how to, you know, best traverse security and venue staff. I can give people advice and, you know, guidance on the venue, the security, and the procedural methods. So as I said, I've been to 491 shows, so it's not new to me. So feel free to reach out for any advice or questions you may have. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, keep a keen eye for concerts and bring on the boom. Just give me that.